Chapter 374. However, it was destined that things wouldn't go as they wished tonight. Just as the hotel owner was about to vomit blood, a young waiter outside the door hurriedly ran towards him and whispered a few words in his ear. The boss didn't know what he heard, but he was shocked and quickly went out to greet the waiter. As soon as he reached the door, he saw 2 rows of well-trained waiters, each carrying fresh ingredients. It looked like they were flown in. Who was the culprit behind all this? Could it be? Could it really be? That was the only thought that flashed through the boss' mind. He didn't have time to think about anything else and quickly ordered them to bring it in. The ingredients were the most important. When piles of fresh and chilled ingredients were brought in, everyone was once again amazed. Ning Xueluo's heart finally snapped, and she fell into her chair with a deathly pale face. It's over. The rest of the time was a great torment for her. Every time a camera or mobile phone camera was pointed at her, her whole body would tense up. Tonight, she was supposed to be the center of attention, and today, she was indeed the center of attention, but she was treated as a joke. Daniel's sous chef was A, while elder Cai's sous chef was her eldest son, Cai Cheng. The rest of the assistants were all elites they had brought with them. Both sides began cooking in an orderly manner. As time ticked by, the aroma of food began to waft through the banquet hall. Everyone was so tempted that they couldn't help but salivate. In the end, both sides made 10 dishes, 2 of which were desserts. Elder Cai's dish was hibiscus oatmeal rolls, golden champion shark wings, 5-flavor abalone, manhan pearl dumplings, royal red top swallow, tai chi divine cauldron, imperial ginseng, exquisite ice crab, purple potato cake, and poria durian cake. Daniel's dish was Hudson Valley duck liver sauce, herb roasted pigeon, braised abalone with jellyfish, honey sauce barbecue emperor, vinegar crispy vegetarian eel, begonia lobster, garlic oyster tempura, grilled vegetable peacock clams, plum champagne float, and Gruyere cheese puffs. Both sides had their own specialties, and they clearly represented the cuisine of their respective countries. A young actor who was recording a live broadcast pointed the camera of his mobile phone at the table of delicacies in front of him, and unkindly said to his fans who were watching the live broadcast, "Babies, do you see that? Do you see that? I'm going to start eating. Just watch and enjoy yourself. Ha 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 ha." The fans on the live stream wailed, releasing poison in the middle of the night, and it's a lethal poison at that. How unkind. I was so angry that I took out a bag of spicy sticks. Please point the camera at my goddess Ning. No, to be more precise, it's goddess she. I really want to see the goddess eat. Me too. The goddess is so cool tonight. Ha 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 ha, that's right. I'll just quietly watch you act cool and never interrupt you. The next second, the camera focused on Ning Shi in the corner as everyone wished. Ning Shi was focused on tasting the food. She seemed to feel that someone was secretly filming her. She inadvertently raised her head, and out of politeness, she subconsciously smiled at the camera. Raw. He was cursed. I've been laughed at by the goddess. So beautiful that I'm crying. No wonder Mr. Daniel always emphasized the beautiful and honorable Miss Ning before. Only goddess she can bear these 2 adjectives. Ning Shi's dignity and elegance really come from her bones. I'm going to turn from a passerby to a fan. Chapter 375. Listening to the comments of the food critics, Xiao Dao, who was busy eating, mumbled, "Oh my God. They're all so delicious, it's so hard to choose. What about you, Sister Shi? Which one do you think tastes better?" Ning Shi rubbed her chin and said, "It's hard to tell which one is better. In terms of desserts and appetizers, Western food has always had an advantage over Chinese food. Mr. Daniel's desserts are exquisite like works of art and taste great, but Chinese food's main course is slightly better. Just like a food journalist said, Chinese food is more humane. Just from the names of the dishes, you can tell that each dish has a special meaning." Xiao Dao nodded. "You're right, it's really hard to tell which one is better." In the warm and peaceful atmosphere, in the extreme joy brought by the delicacies, the banquet gradually came to an end. After the party, Ning Shi went to the bathroom and Xiao Dao waited for her outside. She was browsing Weibo when someone suddenly called out to her, "Hello, are you Miss Ning's assistant?" Xiao Dao looked up and was surprised to see the hotel owner talking to her. "Yes, Mr. Feng, what can I do for you?" "Ah, it's like this. This is a small token of my appreciation for Miss Ning. If you don't mind, please accept it, Mr. Feng said, attentively handing over a card. Xiao Dao glanced at the gilded card. This is? Mr. Feng explained. This is our Royal Duke Hotel's Platinum card. Our Royal Duke Hotel has a total of 3 types of cards: silver, gold, and platinum. The Platinum card is the highest level. Not only do you get a 40% discount, but you can also enjoy the most distinguished treatment. The hotel will specially reserve a room and a private room for Platinum card holders, so no matter when you come, there will be a seat. When Xiao Dao heard this, a look of surprise appeared on her face. However, she restrained herself and didn't reveal too much surprise. After all, she had been by Lung Manyun's side and had seen this kind of thing many times. She knew that if she appeared too excited, it would cause others to look down on Ningxi. Right now, she was not only representing herself, but also Ningxi herself. So Xiao Dao said calmly, "But, I didn't do anything to deserve it. Miss Assistant, you're too kind. It's all thanks to Miss Ning that our hotel is able to host 2 masters like Daniel and Elder Cai. We can't thank you enough." After Boss Feng finished speaking, a light flashed in his eyes. He lowered his voice and added, "I also ask Miss Ning to thank that lord for me." Xiao Dao blinked her eyes, her face full of confusion. "That lord? Who is it?" Xiao Dao didn't understand, so she skipped the question. "If that's the case, thank you for your kindness." Seeing that Xiao Dao didn't give him a clear answer, Mr. Feng was a little unwilling. However, it wasn't appropriate to ask this kind of question, so he could only nod and leave. Before he left, Mr. Feng turned his head and looked in the direction of the young assistant. He was even more suspicious. "TSK, I still can't get anything out of him. Was the person behind Ningxi the lord he had guessed? Forget it, no matter what, it's never wrong to be polite." As soon as Ningxi came out of the bathroom, Xiao Dao immediately stopped pretending to be reserved and skipped over happily. "Sister Shi, let me show you something." "What?" Ningxi asked suspiciously. "Royal Duke's Platinum card. Mr. Feng just gave it to me." Chapter 376. Mr. Feng? Why does he want to give us this? Thanks to you, this time their hotel got such a big hit for free and saved a lot of advertising fees. It's just a Platinum card, it's not a big deal. Ningxi sighed. She really couldn't explain what happened tonight to anyone, so she could only acquiesce. "Okay, then you can keep it." "Ah, I'll keep it." Xiao Dao looked surprised. "Of course, in the future, my matters in this area will be arranged by you, the little housekeeper. It's more convenient to leave it to you." Xiao Dao blushed and put it in her bag. Then I'll keep it for you." Pearl River Imperial View. After Ningxi returned to the apartment, the first thing she did was throw herself on the bed. Tonight was simply too tiring. Her heart was tired, she had been on tenterhooks since yesterday, and all kinds of unexpected situations happened one after another. Anyway, she had no strength left in her body at this moment. Just as he was about to fall asleep on the bed, the doorbell outside suddenly rang. Ningxi suddenly broke down. It was so late, who could it be? She almost had a phobia of doorbell sounds. "Don't care." Ningxi lay motionless on the bed, but the doorbell kept ringing, as if urging her to die. She had no choice but to open the door with a gloomy face. As soon as she walked into the living room, she heard a sly voice coming from outside. "Little 1111, open the door. Little 1111, open the door. Little 1111, open the door." Ningxi opened the door and looked at Lu Jingli outside the door with blue veins popping on her forehead. "Second master, stop howling. What are you doing so late at night?" Lu Jingli immediately squeezed in and said excitedly, "Little 1111, you exploded." Ningxi rolled her eyes at him speechlessly. "You're the one who exploded." Lu Jingli walked back and forth in the living room like a madman, then quickly muttered, "Damn it, I really regret it. I regret it so much that my intestines are turning green." Ningxi pinched her eyebrows. "Stop pacing around. What are you trying to say?" Lu Jingli looked pained. "What I want to say is, why did I go to that boring business reception tonight? In the end, he missed such an exciting scene. Now I can only bitterly search for live streams on the internet. Ningxi was speechless. Of course it's because boring business cocktail parties can make a lot of money. Gossip is not as important as money, Lu Jingli retorted righteously on the spot. How can money be more important than gossip? Ningxi. Okay, I forgot that you are a tycoon. Money is just a number to you. To you, gossip is indeed more important. Lu Jingli clutched his chest. Moreover, furthermore, and Daniel tonight. There was also Cai Fengxian. Do you know how hard it is to have a meal with these two gods? I actually missed it. I missed it. I missed it. And he missed too with a single mistake. I'm so heartbroken that I don't want to live anymore. The corners of Ningxi's mouth twitched. Then you should rush to the Royal Duke Hotel. You might even be able to eat some leftovers. What are you doing here? Lu Jingli did not speak and just stared at her resentfully. Ningxi pinched her eyebrows helplessly. Okay, my boss. I know you didn't come, and I know you like it, so I specially saved it for you. Ningxi said as she took out a box of exquisite pastries from the fridge. I couldn't bring anything else, so I could only bring you a box of purple potato cakes. Chapter 377. Lu Jingli pounced on it. Oh. Sister-in-law, you're my sister-in-law. Ningxi's face darkened. Give it back to me if you talk nonsense again. Lu Jingli immediately hid far away with the cake. I'm not talking nonsense. Then he grabbed the cake and began to eat it. As he spoke, he did not forget to talk to Ningxi. Little 1111, learn how to make it. Then I can eat it often in the future. It's not difficult. I know how to make it, but how can it be compared to elder CAIs? Don't even think about it. Ningxi poured cold water on him. Lu Jingli looked angry as he ate. My brother is too much. Ningxi was speechless. Why are you talking about your brother again? Lu Jingli gave Ningxi a meaningful look and then replied in a drawl, I don't know who invited Daniel, but I saw my brother run out of the party in the middle of CAI functions, so I personally called him to invite him. I begged him several times before, but he refused to help me. Ningxi was speechless. Cai Fengxian, Lu Tingxiao had invited him. Although she did suspect it for a moment, she did not expect it to be him. So, the emergency food was also arranged by him. Sure enough, his flawless style was exactly the same as that of the devil. Looking at Ningxi's expression, which was obviously seduced by his brother, Lu Jingli looked satisfied. Finally, of course, there was a more important question. After eating the purple potato cake, Lu Jingli moved closer to Ningxi and said in a tone that suggested he was trying to abduct a little girl, little 1111. There's something I'm very curious about. My brother invited old Mr. Cai Fengxian, so who invited Daniel? Ningxi finally couldn't bear it anymore. Second young master, you won't get a wife if you continue to be so nosy. I didn't want to marry her, Lu Jingli replied in a matter-of-fact tone. Ningxi held her forehead. Tell me. I promise I won't tell anyone. Lu Jingli was persistent. Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. Who would believe him? Just when Ningxi was annoyed by Lu Jingli, her phone suddenly rang. Ding dong ding dong. He casually picked it up and saw 2 new messages at the same time. He unlocked it and opened WeChat. The next second, after reading the 2 messages, Ningxi was dumbfounded. There were 2 new messages in WeChat. Sad smiley ys. Is it good? Lu Tingxiao, is it good? Ningxi, what's going on? Even the timing of the transmission was exactly the same, not even a second off. Before the shock on Ningxi's face faded, the phone rang twice in a row. Ys, which one is the best? This is a compulsory question. Lu Tingxiao, which dish do you prefer? Moreover, it was sent at the same time. Did they have to be so tacit? Lu Jingli noticed that Ningxi's expression was not right. He approached her with concern and asked, Little 1111, what's wrong with you? It's already so late, who would send you a message? Ahem, nothing. Ningxi was startled and quickly took back her phone. That was close, Lu Jingli almost saw it. Just in case, she'd better change the names of these 2 people. Ningxi rubbed her chin and thought for a moment. She avoided Lu Jingli and began to type to change the names. Ys, was changed to cloud radish, Lu Tingxiao was changed to Lu Bai Bai. Chapter 378. What kind of gaze did Lu Jingli have? When he was gossiping, he had a pair of fiery eyes. Therefore, with that glance just now, he had already roughly caught a glimpse of the content of the message. He immediately touched his chin meaningfully. Yes, it's that guy. TSK, very good. I've achieved my goal tonight. Of course, I can make it even better. So Lu Jingli began to jump around again. Xiao 1111, which of the two masters' dishes do you think is better? This was the third time she was asked this question. Ning, she was about to break down. Don't ask me which one is better. It's such a double entendre, okay? It's not a compulsory question, it's a suicide question. Ning, she glared at him fiercely. Shut up. Don't ask anymore. It's late. You've eaten and you've gossiped. Go back. Otherwise, I'm going to tell your brother that you're still staying at my place in the middle of the night. Lu Jingli immediately took a few steps back in horror. Xiao 1111, how can you do this? You've become a bad person. So are you leaving or not? I'm calling him now. Ning, she raised her phone to threaten him. Lu Jingli's eyes were filled with tears. For his own safety, he quickly ran away. Seeing that Lu Jingli had finally left, Ning, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. She had been sleepy at first, but now that Lu Jingli and those messages had come, it seemed that she would not be able to sleep tonight. There were bound to be many people who would not be able to sleep tonight. Platinum Palace. Lu Jingli pushed open the door of the study and leaned against the door frame, panting. Brother, I'm back. In order to get some information for you, I risked my life to come back. Lu Tingxiao looked up from a pile of documents and glanced at the remnants of snacks at the corner of his mouth. Ah! Lu Jingli lifted his sleeve to wipe his mouth. Oh, it's my sister-in-law. She's so polite and even brought me a box of snacks. I didn't want to eat them, but she insisted. Lu Tingxiao, heh, brother, I've got some very important information. Do you want to hear it? After saying that, Lu Jingli rolled his eyes with a belly full of mischief. If you also ask Grandpa Cai to cook a meal for me, I'll tell you right away. Lu Tingxiao's response was to continue doing what he was doing, not even sparing him a glance. Fuck. Brother, you really don't want to know? You really don't want to? Then I won't say any more. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. All right. For the sake of our brotherhood, I'll tell you directly. In fact, he couldn't hold it in for more than 3 seconds. Lu Jingli couldn't wait to start saying, Brother, let me tell you, the person who wrote that mushy love letter, prepared a surprise for little 1111, and invited Daniel, is indeed the man with the alphabet, YS, who doesn't dare to show his face. Oh, by the way, did you send a WeChat message to 1111 just now? That guy actually sent a message to sister-in-law at almost the same time. Even the content was almost the same as yours. That's amazing. The two of you are too telepathic. Lu Tingxiao finally looked up at Lu Jingli, who was muttering to himself. There was an unfathomable undercurrent in his eyes. Lu Jingli sighed and murmured, since that guy has already made his move, there will be a second time. This time, he hired a chef. Who knows, maybe the next time, he'll directly turn a person into a living person. Brother, I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to chase after your wife in the future. Chapter 379. As Lu Jingli spoke, the corner of his mouth revealed a sly smile. But, you have two things that can instantly kill him. First, you'll be in a favorable position. It won't be easy for that guy to return to China. Second, it's definitely our Xiaobao. Lu Tingxiao's knuckles slowly tapped on the armrest. How's Xiaobao's enrollment going? Don't worry about me. He can enroll anytime. Ning family's villa. Aya, Shualuo is back. Did you have fun tonight? Tell me. Zhuang Lingyu knew that Su Yang was going to propose, so she waited for her daughter to come back. Looking at Zhuang Lingyu's expectant face, Ning Shualuo forced a smile. Mom, I'll tell you later. I'm a little tired, so I'm going to rest. Huh? Tired? Seeing her daughter enter the house and close the door, Zhuang Lingyu looked at her husband with a puzzled expression. What's wrong with Shualuo? Ning Yaohua put down the newspaper in his hand. His intuition told him that something was wrong, so he called the maid who usually took care of Ning Xueluo. Master, you were looking for me? Ling, go and find out what happened tonight. Why did Miss lock herself in the house as soon as she came back? Ning Yaohua said in a low voice. Zhuang Lingyu chimed in. Yeah, and she doesn't look too good. Didn't Su Yang propose today? Logically speaking, she should be happy, right? Is she shy? At this moment, the maid hurriedly said, Master, Madam, that's not it. It's Miss who was wronged tonight. Ning Yaohua's expression immediately changed. What? Wronged? Who dares to do that to my precious daughter? Is it that brat Su Yang? The maid shook her head. How could it be young Master Su? Young Master Su dotes on Miss. Then what's going on? Hurry up and tell us. Zhuang Lingyu said anxiously. Master, Madam, what happened tonight is too complicated. I can't explain it in a short time. You can watch it yourself. The maid took out her phone and clicked on a video. Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu looked at each other, then quickly took the phone and started watching. The two of them quickly browsed through the video, and their expressions became more and more unpleasant. The maid said angrily, Master, Madam, did you see that? Tonight was supposed to be young Master Su's proposal to our eldest miss. He had meticulously prepared it for a long time. In the end, second miss came out to make trouble time and time again. Fortunately, our eldest miss had a good temper, so she endured and endured until she finally couldn't take it anymore. Young miss must have been so sad at that time. It was supposed to be the happiest moment, but it was all ruined by second miss. In the end, he was laughed at by so many people at the scene, and it was even spread on the internet. Now this video is all over the internet, that's why I saw it. In fact, although this video was downloaded from the internet, it had been edited to deliberately omit the parts where Fang Yue repeatedly provoked him. Just as Xiao Ling was complaining, Ning Xueluo's stern voice came from behind. Little Ling, who allowed you to spout nonsense here? Xiao Ling secretly exchanged glances with Ning Xueluo, then made a pitiful expression. Young mistress, I'm sorry. But what I said was the truth. I'm just angry. Chapter 380. Xueluo, why are you blaming her? Xiaoling didn't say anything wrong. Zhuang Lingyu held her daughter's hand and looked at her pale face. Her face was full of heartache. I didn't expect something like this to happen. You've been wronged. Ning Xueluo's face was full of forbearance. Mom, I'm not wronged. I don't care about what happened tonight at all. As long as Brother Yang treats me well, I don't care what other people think of me. I really like Brother Yang. I'm not using him as a tool to show off. It's just that Sister's actions tonight really hurt me. I really don't know why she's treating me like this. Xiaoling, who was at the side, quickly interjected, Missy, do you still need to ask? Young Master Su is proposing to you tonight. It would be strange if second miss didn't cause trouble, okay? She just can't stand to see you do well. Ning Yaohua's face immediately darkened. That girl is too outrageous. Now, people don't know that they are sisters. If they know, they will see the two sisters fighting and fighting in front of outsiders. What kind of people will that be? Ning Xueluo held back her tears. It's my fault for misunderstanding my sister about Cai Jing, but I've done everything I can. I've tried my best to help her, but she rejected me every time. Now, my sister's misunderstanding of me is getting deeper and deeper. I really don't know what to do, Zhuang Lingyu sighed. Sigh, silly child. Mom has already told you many times. Why do you care so much about what she thinks? Don't you know her personality? It's best if you don't care about her. Ning Xueluo immediately said with a serious expression, Of course I care because she's my parents' biological daughter. I care about her as much as I care about my parents. I don't want there to be any conflict between the two of you because of me. Ning Yaohua was moved. Xueluo, Dad really doesn't know what to say to you. If Ning she was half as sensible as you. Sigh. Ning Xueluo revealed a somewhat gloomy expression. Sometimes, I really think that I should go back to the Tang family. Zhuang Lingyu immediately grabbed her hand nervously. Xueluo, How could you say something like that? Are you going to abandon your mother? But my sister might only be willing to come back if I'm gone. I think I'm the bane of your family's reunion. Ning Xueluo could not help but burst into tears. Zhuang Lingyu hurriedly hugs her and pacifies her. Xueluo, how could you say such a thing? You are mother's most beloved daughter. You are our Ning family's lucky star. Ever since you were born, our Ning family's business has been getting better and better. Last time, it was you who introduced Boss Wang. Have you forgotten? Ning Yaohua became nervous when he heard that Ning Xueluo wanted to go back to the Tang family. Don't ever talk about yourself like that again. Could Master Long personally tell your fortune for you be wrong? You are the lucky star of our Ning family. No one can drive you away. Zhuang Lingyu helped her wipe her tears. Xueluo, Daddy and Mommy know that you have been wronged today. Don't be sad. Tonight is just a proposal. What's the big deal? Wait until your official engagement banquet. That's the real glory. Yes, when the time comes, no one will be able to compete with you. I will personally go and discuss with the Su family. Chapter 381. Listening to Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu's solemn promise, Ning Xue's eyes flashed with an imperceptible smile. Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu were not a big deal. The most important thing was that there was Su Yimo, who was said to have a powerful background. If Su Yimo played her role, Ning Xi would have no chance to turn the tables. She had offended the senior management of Lu Enterprises. What good could she do? Su Yimo had been too proud to argue with Ning Xi before, but after tonight's incident, would she still leave Ning Xi alone? Then she would just have to sit back and watch the tigers fight. Ning Xi, I'll wait and see how you die. After finishing filming, Ning Xi rested at home for 3 days. Apart from the routine exercise and eating, she slept like a pig. It wasn't until the 3rd day that she finally felt the half of her soul that she had left in Meng Changa's body come back, as well as the half that had been scared away. However, the next second, she received a ding sound. Because of a text message, her soul was scared away again. Ning Xi, are you free tomorrow? Xiaobao's enrollment is done. Lu Bai Cai. Ning Xi stared blankly at Lu Bai Cai's name and didn't reply for a long time. Although the party was over, it didn't mean that the crisis was over. Instead, it gave her a big wake-up call. That guy not only wanted to tease her, but also wanted to threaten and warn her. He wanted to warn her that even if he was thousands of miles away, he could still reach her. Ning Xi pinched between her eyebrows, took out her cell phone, and found a dusty number in the phone book. The phone only rang once before it was immediately connected. Ning Xi was stunned for a moment before she reacted. She hurriedly said, "Hello, Annie, hello. Brother Xi. It's really you. How long has it been since you last contacted me?" Good girl Tilda. Hearing the girl's excited voice, Ning Xi's eyes softened. "Brother Xi, I miss you so much. But before you left, you said you wanted to say goodbye to the past and start a new life. So I didn't dare to disturb you, nor did I dare to contact you." The girl's voice was sad. Ning Xi chuckled. "Silly girl, I was pretending to be pretentious. You really believe it?" "What?" Annie sounded as if she had suffered a huge blow. "So I've been holding it in for so long without daring to contact you?" Ning Xi was overjoyed. "Ha ha ha. I'm just teasing you. Why are you still so gullible? You're teasing me again. Brother Xi, you're too much. Okay, I'm not playing anymore. Let's talk business. I called you this time to ask you about something." Ning Xi's tone became serious. Annie hurriedly said seriously, "What's the matter, Brother Xi?" "I'll tell you everything I know." Ning Xi scratched her head and asked, "Well, it's about your boss. Has he been behaving strangely recently?" Annie was stunned. She stammered, this. The impatient Ning Xi couldn't wait any longer. She hurriedly urged, "What is this? Yes or no?" What a simple question. Annie had to answer immediately, "Brother Xi, yes." "Yes." Ning Xi immediately straightened her back. "What's so strange about it? Tell me." Chapter 382. Annie coughed lightly and said awkwardly, "Boss, a few days ago, he was sitting on the deck in the middle of the night." "Sitting on the deck for what?" Can't you finish your story in one breath? Do you want me to die of anxiety? Ningxi couldn't breathe and was about to collapse. He sat on the deck and wrote a love letter for a whole night. Annie finally finished her story in one breath. She didn't have to think to know how she looked on the other end of the phone. Ningxi frowned. I thought it was something weird. Why are you stuttering for such a long time? Annie stammered, Brother Shi, boss wrote a love letter to you, right? Well. It was Ningxi's turn to stutter. Annie deliberated over her words and complained with difficulty, boss's writing skills are really not that good. That night, he threw paper balls all over the deck. A few of us couldn't stand it anymore and offered to write for him. In the end, they were all beaten up by Boss. Boss insisted on doing it himself. He wrote those words for a whole night. Ningxi touched her forehead. Haha, I hope he can use this spirit of self-improvement in other areas. Don't hurt her anymore. Ningxi paused and continued to ask, apart from that, are there any other signs of abnormal behavior? No, Brother Shi. Annie answered affirmatively. Then she pondered for a moment and added, our recent actions are a bit unusual. What's unusual? Ningxi asked immediately. It's just that they seem to be making more and more moves in Hua Nation. Also, Big Brother seemed to want to go back to China a few days ago, but there was a sudden problem with a very important shipment. He has been dealing with this matter these days. I see. Ningxi frowned. They were doing more and more things in China. Maybe it had something to do with Lu Tingxiao. Ningxi nodded. Okay, that's all for now. Remember to report to me if there's anything unusual. Annie said awkwardly, Brother Shi, isn't this a bad idea? I don't want to be a mole. The corner of Ningxi's mouth twitched. Annie, you only care about your brother now, don't you? Who saved your little life back then? Annie panicked. Brother Shi, I haven't forgotten. You saved me. Ningxi nodded with satisfaction. That's good. So, you're not a traitor. He was a spy. Understand? Annie replied, oh. I understand. Ningxi, millimeter, good girl. Alright, I'm hanging up. Muax. Annie said, wait, Brother Shi, Ningxi, what else? Brother Shi, is it really impossible for you to come back? Annie said in a sad tone. Ningxi listened to the sound of the sea breeze on the other end of the phone, slowly closed her eyes and murmured, after staying in the dark for a long time, people inevitably yearn for the light. In the past, I was indeed carefree and unrestrained, but my heart was like a rootless duckweed. I couldn't find the meaning of my existence. Although there are many constraints and difficulties in my life now, I like this kind of challenge. I like this feeling of having a goal. Do you understand? Brother Shi, are you serious? Or are you just showing off? Annie's weak and uncertain voice came from the other end of the phone. Ningxi, alright, she was wrong. She shouldn't have teased the innocent little girl. She had finally dug a pit for herself. Chapter 383. After hanging up the phone, Ningxi lay back on the bed. She didn't get much useful information from this phone call, but she was sure that the guy had been active in China recently. If it weren't for the accident with the goods, he would have been ready to go back to China. After taking a deep breath, Ningxi finally replied to Lu Tingxiao with a text message. Ningxi, I'm sorry, Boss Lu. I have work tomorrow. I don't think I can go. Please say sorry to Xiao Bao for me. After replying, she threw the phone aside, not daring to look at Lu Tingxiao's reply. The next morning, in front of a private kindergarten, there was a lot of crying children who didn't want to go to school and didn't want their parents to leave. At first, only one child cried, but all the other children were infected and cried. The teachers and parents were busy trying to persuade and coax one child. When they finally persuaded one child, all the previous efforts were wasted when the child next to him cried. In this chaos, the most eye-catching one was the expressionless little bun with a small school bag on his back. The little fellow held Papa's hand and didn't even look at the chaos over there. He just stared at the direction of the road leading to the school. Oh, children, don't cry. Look how obedient that child is. He's not crying at all. A teacher pointed in the direction of Xiao Bao for the children to see. The children all looked in Xiao Bao's direction. In the end, they saw a cold and terrifying man next to Xiao Bao. In the next second, all the children cried even louder, "Wow! That child was caught by the devil. Wow, Mommy, I'm scared. Wow, Papa, don't go, I'm scared." The teachers, the parents, seeing that the situation was getting out of control, the teacher could only walk to Lu Tingxiao, trembling, out of duty. "This. Parent, the children are a little scared of you. Can you leave first?" As soon as he finished speaking, the aura around Lu Tingxiao became even more frightening. The female teacher suddenly shrank and didn't dare to say anything else. Sob, 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 sob. "I'm scared too. I'm about to cry." Lu Tingxiao lowered his eyes, looked at his son's little head, and said, "Don't wait. She won't come." Xiao Bao raised his head and glared at his papa angrily. Then, he resolutely continued to stand where he was. Time slowly ticked by, the time for class was getting closer and closer. The children's parents had already begun to urge their children to hurry up and go to class. Ningxi still didn't come. "Let's go in," Lu Tingxiao said again. This time, little Baozi buried his head and scribbled a few words. He raised it up for Papa to see. "Xiao Bao, don't go to school." Lu Tingxiao narrowed his eyes and his face darkened. "You're not a 3-year-old anymore. As a man, are you going to go back on your word?" Little Baozi buried his head and continued to write. "Xiao Bao is a child. A 5-year-old was still a child. Xiao Bao is not a man." After she finished writing, she kept a straight face and had an expression that said, "Papa, don't try to use this trick on me again." What an impassioned and forceful Xiao Bao is not a man. Lu Tingxiao. Sigh, kids are getting harder to fool as they grow up. At the same time, in a corner not far from the school, a black car was quietly parked. Chapter 384. Lu Chongshan pretended to be calm, but Yang Rui couldn't help urging Xingwu, who was holding a pair of binoculars. "Xingwu, have you seen it clearly? What's going on with Xiao Bao? The other kids have already gone to class. Why is Xiao Bao still standing there? Is there a problem?" Lu Chongshan's expression was solemn. Xingwu looked at it for a while and hurriedly explained to his parents, "Young master is in trouble. I saw young master write a sentence saying that he doesn't want to go to school anymore. Young master tried to persuade him, but it didn't work." Lu Chongshan's face darkened. "See, I knew that woman's words wouldn't work. But Xiao Bao still doesn't want to go to school. What should we do? Wasn't he fine last night? He came to the school gate this morning. Why did he suddenly stop going?" Yang Rui was anxious. Hearing their conversation, Xingwu coughed and said, "It seems that young master doesn't want to go to school because Miss Ningxi didn't come today." Hearing their conversation, Xingwu coughed and said, "The reason why young master suddenly doesn't want to go to school is that Miss Ningxi didn't come today. Young master is probably hoping that Miss Ning will come to see him off today. He must be throwing a tantrum." Hearing this, Lu Chongshan immediately became angry. "Then why didn't she come? Don't tell me you want me to invite her myself. Why don't we invite her? Xiao Bao's school is more important." Yang Rui said hurriedly. "Xiao Bao's schooling is more important," Yang Rui hurriedly said. "Don't come up with ideas," Yang Rui said hurriedly. Lu Chongshan refused. "Absolutely not. Don't come up with ideas. This time, it will be worse next time. She will point to this and make even more unreasonable demand. Then, what should we do?" Yang Rui didn't know what to do. She had been full of hope, but now she was full of disappointment. Even if we invite her, I'm afraid she won't come, because she knows very well that if Xiao Bao completely recovers, she will be worthless. She won't want Xiao Bao to recover so quickly, Lu Chongshan said firmly. After listening to Lu Chongshan's explanation, Yang Rui finally understood. Not far away, the father and son were also anxious. Lu Tingxiao asked, "Are you sure you don't want to go to school?" Xiao Bao nodded affirmatively. "I'm not going anymore." There was no more love. Lu Tingxiao helplessly looked at his son's incomparably determined little face. He understood his son's character. Once the little guy had made up his mind, there was no way to persuade him. Thus, he could only drag his son back. "Then let's go home." Little Bun clenched his fists. but still stood in place, unwilling to move. Until the bell for class rang, Aunt Xiaoxi really wouldn't come. The little guy's big eyes were filled with sadness. He drooped his little head and mechanically followed his papa, walking back step by step. However, right at this moment, a clear and melodious voice suddenly resounded from the end of the road in the distance. "Darling little Bao." This voice was Aunt Xiaoxi. Xiao Bao's little face suddenly burst forth with a strange radiance. He twisted his body and broke free from his papa's hand, then ran towards the direction of the sound. Following the sound of hurried footsteps, Lu Tingxiao looked up and saw that the girl was wearing Xiao Bao's favorite pink dress and a pink crystal hair clip. She was jogging toward the school. 30,000 words. I'm so tired. For the sake of the author writing so hard, please give me a monthly ticket double the monthly ticket during the National Day period . Chapter 385. Ningxi rushed over breathlessly, squatted down, hugged Xiao Baozi, and stuffed something into his hands. I'm so tired. Fortunately, I made it in time. Take it, baby. I learned some cooking skills from the master last night, so I got up early this morning and made you a love bento. It's your first day at school. Delicious food can cheer you up. In fact, she had sent that text message last night and made up her mind not to come, but her body seemed to be out of her control. She woke up early in the morning and began to fiddle in the kitchen. When she came to herself, she had already made a lovely and delicate little bento. Alas, her heart was full of Xiao Baozi. She couldn't control herself at all. Especially when he thought of little Bun's disappointed look when he didn't get to see him, his soul directly flew away. So, in the end, her body still followed her soul. I'm sorry, baby. Have you waited for a long time? Ningxi looked apologetic. Xiao Baozi held the love bento tightly in his arms and immediately shook his head to show that he was not angry at all. Ningxi was relieved and touched Xiao Baozi's little head. Study hard and listen to the teacher. Xiao Baozi nodded hard. Well, it was good to go to school. He wanted to go to school. Lu Tingxiao couldn't help curling up the corner of his mouth when he saw his son's face change faster than flipping a book. He deliberately exposed him. Didn't you just say you don't want to go to school anymore? Hearing this, Xiao Baozi straightened his back and glared at Papa angrily. Papa was so bad. How could he complain to Auntie Xiaoxi? Complaining was despicable. Ningxi blinked and asked hurriedly, Why? Why don't you want to go to school all of a sudden? Lu Tingxiao never indulged his son's temper, so under his son's nervous gaze, he said ruthlessly, he is too willful. Xiao Baozi was shocked. He didn't want to talk to Papa anymore. Xiao Baozi stared at Ningxi nervously and was about to cry, for fear that Auntie Xiaoxi would be angry and dislike him. Ningxi nodded and said carelessly, that's not a big deal. Xiao Baozi is still young. Being willful is the patent of children. It doesn't matter, baby, you can be willful as much as you want. Hearing that, Xiao Bao's little face immediately shone with a golden light, and then, he looked at the papa beside him with incomparable pride. Sure enough, Aunt Xiaoxi loves me the most. Lu Tingxiao looked at his son and then at Ningxi. He lowered his eyes and chuckled. Well, you're right. He looked as if his wife was right. Even when he was provoked by his son, he didn't care at all. Lu Tingxiao's smile was so dazzling that Ningxi coughed lightly to avoid his gaze. She hurriedly urged Lu Tingxiao, it's time for class, isn't it? Baby, hurry up and go in, don't be late. Xiao Bao glanced at the school and tightened his grip on Ningxi, obviously reluctant to let her go. At this moment, there were still some children and their parents who were reluctant to enter the school gate. At this moment, their faces were filled with amazement. They stared blankly at the moment the girl appeared. The aura of the man who had been scaring all the children to tears earlier instantly softened. His cold and stiff-side profile also slowly melted. He actually did not look that scary anymore, and there was even a hint of warmth. Chapter 386. At this time, a child suddenly stared at Ningxi and exclaimed, that child's mother is so beautiful. The other children also noticed it and echoed, like a princess, like a flower fairy, like Xiao Moxian. I want her to be my mother too. a child blurted out. The child's father didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Don't talk nonsense. Mom will be angry. Listening to the children's conversation, Xiao Baozi immediately hugged Ningxi tighter, as if afraid that she would be snatched away. Ningxi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She touched Xiao Baozi's head to comfort her. They are joking. As she listened to all those princesses, flower fairies, Xiao Moxian, she felt incomparably ashamed. Because Xiao Baozi liked her to wear pink, she not only wore the pink hair clip that Xiao Baozi gave her, but also wore a very girlish and very princess-like dress. But it was fine as long as Xiao Baozi liked it. Finally, the rest of the children were distracted by Ningxi's appearance and gradually stopped crying. The teacher took the opportunity to lead them into the school. Thus, only Xiao Baozi was left at the school gate. Ningxi hugged Xiao Baozi reluctantly. Go. Xiao Baozi went into the school with a small lunchbox in his arms. At first, he didn't understand why those children were crying, but he understood after Aunt Xiaoxi came. He was reluctant to leave Aunt Xiaoxi and wanted to cry too. Ningxi looked at Little Bun's little back as he carried his little school bag and thought about how Little Bun would grow up one day and become more and more independent. He would finally leave their protection and no longer need her. Her eyes couldn't help but feel a little sore. What the hell? Why did she feel like a mother? At this time, a warm hand patted her shoulder. Don't be sad, it's a good thing. Ningxi nodded awkwardly. Millimeter. Not far away, in the black car, Yang Rui was so excited that she cried. Buddha bless me. Buddha bless me. No matter what, Xiao Baozi can finally go to school. Lu Chongshan's face stiffened, probably because his prophecy had been wrong several times, and he snorted. This woman knows when to stop. Yang Rui patted her chest and sighed. Alas, this is a big stone in my heart. It finally landed. Lu Chongshan glanced at her. You can finally focus more on boss's marriage now, right? Yang Rui wiped her tears. I know. Most of the people have been selected. Didn't I show them to you a few days ago? I'm just short of sending it to the Grand Master to calculate the 8 characters of his birth. Although there were very few people who believed in these things now, in fact, in the circle of the upper class, things like metaphysics and geomancy were still very popular. Generally, before the marriage of the famous families, they also liked to calculate whether the 8 characters of the zodiac were compatible or not. It was better to believe it than not. Don't drag it out any longer. You must get this done within a few days, Lu Chongshan urged. But I haven't thought about it yet. Which master should I look for? How is Master Long? In the capital, this kind of matter was usually looked for him, Yang Rui asked. His reputation is very high, and it's more guaranteed. Chapter 387. Hearing this, Lu Chongshan shook his head and said in a low voice, No. That Long Fanyan indeed had some ability, but he was not a righteous person. If someone had bribed him to cheat, it would be a big deal. It's not like this hasn't happened before. So, it's better not to look for him. Make a trip to Fahua Temple and look for Master Xianjing. Although it's a little troublesome, it's much safer. Every year, the Lu Group donates a lot of money to build the golden body of the Bodhisattva. If you go there personally, the master should give you face. Yang Rui nodded and said, All right, then I'll go find Master Xianjing. This isn't a small matter. It doesn't matter how troublesome it is. It's better to be safe. Suddenly, there was a pah sound from the front seat of the car. Xing Wu's binoculars had slipped out of his hand. Master, Madam, eldest young master seems to have discovered us again. Do we still have to keep an eye on them? Xing Wu's voice trembled as he asked bitterly. He had repeatedly gone against the eldest young master and was even discovered on the spot. He felt that he should have died 100 times over. Lu Chongshan already knew what he was most concerned about, so he took a look at them from afar. It seemed that Ningxi was about to bid farewell to Lu Tingxiao, and they were about to separate. So he didn't intend to stay here any longer. All right, let's go back. Yes. Xing Wu breathed a sigh of relief and immediately started the car to leave. On the other side, the first thing Ningxi did after seeing Little Bun off was, he decisively broke into a run. Then, Boss Lu, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first. I have to shoot an advertisement for a game company today, and I still have to rush over to meet up with Sister Gigi and the others later." Without waiting for Lu Tingxiao's reply, he immediately prepared to run. Then, the next second, he had only taken 2 steps, his wrist tightened, and he was suddenly unable to move forward. Furthermore, his whole body was forcefully pulled into a warm embrace. Lu Tingxiao wrapped his arms around the girl's slender waist and hugged her tightly. His husky voice rang in her ears, "Don't go yet. Ningxi." His brain had crashed. The great Demon King's skill had leveled up again. Last time, he at least knew to ask for her opinion. This time, he actually directly hugged her. Lu Tingxiao sighed helplessly and hugged her tighter. "I wanted to talk to you nicely, but you kept avoiding me. It seems like this is the only way, Ningxi. So, is it still my fault? Ningxi, do you remember? Last time, you told me to be careful and bring a few bodyguards with me," Lu Tingxiao suddenly said. At the mention of this, Ningxi immediately tensed up. "Of course I remember. What's wrong? Did something happen?" Lu Tingxiao patted her back comfortingly. "Don't be nervous. It's nothing. I just wanted to tell you something." "What is it?" Ningxi was confused. Moreover, she really wanted to say, "Demon King, please spare me. I won't run anymore. Please let go of me and we can talk properly, okay? Ningxi, when you said those words to me, in order to make you worry about me and to have a chance to get close to you, I deliberately used a little, ahem." Lu Tingxiao coughed lightly. "The trick of injuring myself to gain sympathy." Ningxi. Actually, there was no need to explain. She wasn't so stupid that she couldn't even see this. So, what on earth was he trying to say? Chapter 388. Lu Tingxiao continued, and his tone became serious. "So, Ningxi, don't think of me as a weak person. Don't stay away from me because of this. I promise that no one can hurt me, and no one can threaten you to leave me with this." Hearing this, Ningxi finally understood what he meant, and her heart couldn't help but tighten. Lu Tingxiao slightly let go of her, held her shoulders, and made her look at him. He said word by word as if he wanted to engrave his words in her heart. "Ningxi, after saying so much, I just want to tell you that no one or anything can affect your decision. You only need to consider me, and only one thing, that is, whether you like me or not. If it's because you can't fall in love with me, then I will accept it. I will only accept this reason. One more, and the most important one, Ningxi, I am already an adult, and I can be responsible for all my actions. No matter what I do it out of my own will. Although I like you, in fact, it has nothing to do with you, so you don't have to feel any pressure at all. I will wait for you, until the day you fall in love with me. Do you understand?" Hearing this, Ningxi smiled bitterly and touched her forehead. Who said that Lu Tingxiao was not good with words? This guy was eloquent enough to attend the national debate competition. Every word he said was really poking the softest part of her heart. In her heart, a voice and an answer echoed Lu Tingxiao. In fact, she didn't have to wait. "I have fallen in love with you for a long time." It was just that she was not strong enough to overcome everything that happened in the past. It was easy to tell him the whole truth, to tell him that she had been raped and gave birth to a stillborn baby. But what she couldn't bear was what she would face after he knew it. Even if she believed that Lu Tingxiao was generous enough to not mind this kind of thing, who would be willing to tear open their dirtiest side and show it in front of the person they loved the most? She couldn't bear just thinking about it. She would rather be the best in his eyes forever. The man in front of her was too good. He should have the best girl as his wife. However, when she thought of this, a thought and impulse that she had never felt before suddenly surged up from the depths of her heart. Yes, the man in front of her should have the best. So, why can't she be the best? It was so good that one day, she could overcome her past, overcome her inferiority complex, and stand shoulder to shoulder with him. Not only was it his weakness, but it was also his armor. Ningxi. Ningxi. Lu Tingxiao looked worriedly at the silent girl. The gentle voice in her ears brought Ningxi back to her senses, and her eyes shone with a light that she had never seen before. "Yes, Lu Tingxiao, I understand." Lu Tingxiao was slightly startled as he looked at the light in the girl's eyes. Although he didn't know what she was thinking at the moment, he was still affected by her emotions. Okay. After thinking it through, Ningxi felt as if she had been reborn. In her life, in addition to her dream, there was one more wonderful thing that was worth working hard for. Before her brain could react, Ningxi had already taken the initiative to hug Lu Tingxiao. Although it was extremely short, just a light hug, only half a second. Chapter 389. After the hug, she randomly found a few reasons in her confused mind. Thank you, Sir Boss, for your appreciation, for helping me out. Anyway, thank you. I'm going to work hard at the company and make progress every day. After that, she flew away like a gust of pink wind. Lu Tingxiao did not seem to realize what had happened and stood there in a daze. After a long time, he finally realized that Ningxi seemed to have taken the initiative to hug him just now. After knowing each other for so long, this was the first and only time she took the initiative. It really felt like he had traveled through mountains and rivers, crossed glacier, and finally smelled a hint of the fragrance of flowers. Oh my dog eyes. I just fixed them and I'm blind again. Why the hell do I have to see such a scene with such destructive power every time? Oh my god. What kind of physique do I have? Is it a masochistic physique? There was a sad wail from the side. Lu Jingli appeared out of nowhere and looked at the happy expression on his brother's face. He covered his eyes and pretended to be in pain. Why are you here? Lu Tingxiao looked at his brother and asked with a smile. Lu Jingli's mouth twitched and he rubbed the goosebumps on his arms. Brother, don't talk to me with a smile. I'm not used to it. What's the matter? Lu Tingxiao seemed to realize that his emotions were a little out of control at the moment, so he coughed lightly and restrained himself a little. It's nothing. I saw Xing Wu sneakily following you and Xiaobao in his car, so I also sneakily followed him out. Oh, right. I also put this on Xing Wu's body. Hee. Lu Jingli took out a micro-bug with a sinister smile. That kid definitely didn't expect it. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Well done. Lu Tingxiao was not stingy with his praise. Lu Jingli was so happy that his tail almost flew up to the sky. Of course. I just heard that Mom and Dad are going to the Fahua Temple to read the horoscopes of the socialites they picked for you. Brother, do you think we should do something? For example, make all the socialites' horoscopes not compatible with you, and then give 1111 a horoscope that's perfect for you. Maybe his parents would change their minds. Old people seem to believe in this more. No need. Lu Tingxiao rejected it without hesitation. This is an insult to Master Xian Jing. Xian Jing was a true eminent monk, and it was impossible for him to do such a fake thing. Although there were also people like Long Fanyan, he knew very well that with his father's cautiousness, he would definitely not believe the words of such people. At that time, it would be counterproductive. Lu Jingli touched his chin and nodded. All right. If it's Master Xian Jing, this matter is really difficult to handle. Besides, maybe you and little 1111 are really a match made in heaven? Mim. Lu Tingxiao actually nodded, and his expression was quite confident. Lu Jingli clutched his chest, indicating that he had suffered 10,000 damage. All right. Brother, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to be abused anymore in the coming days. I'm going to leave quietly. I'm going to find a small island to heal my wounds. Looking at your current state, I can finally rest assured and take my vacation. Thinking of the 3-month-long holiday, Lu Jingli was revived on the spot. Leave this heartless land. Beat. See. Beauty. I'm coming. Chapter 390. Shungsha Entertainment. In the hall downstairs, Su Yimo was wearing a long white dress with a stain on it. Her face was full of disgust and displeasure. At that moment, an ordinary-looking and well-dressed woman next to her was yelling at an older female artist in a shrill voice. Bai Lu. Do you know how to do things? You dirted Sister Yimo's clothes just by sprinkling water on the floor. Do you know how much this dress costs? Su Yimo's manager, Zhao Meishan, crossed her arms and snorted. Money? It's the latest limited edition of Chanel's latest season. It hasn't even been released to the public yet. Because our Yimo gang signed a contract to be their spokesperson, we got this dress. Is this something that can be bought with money? The female artist named by Lu's face was pale as she kept apologizing. I'm sorry. Sister Yimo. Sister Maishin. Sister Bichin. I know I was wrong. It's all my fault. Otherwise. Sister Yimo, take it off later and I'll wash it for you. I'll make sure it's so clean that no one can tell. The female artist who spoke was 30 years old and had been in the industry for 10 years. She was older than Su Yimo, Zhao Maishin, and Liang Bichin. However, she probably didn't have the fate of being popular. She hadn't been popular in the past few years and could only play minor roles in recent years. In a place like the entertainment industry, it didn't matter how long you stayed, but how popular you were. Therefore, even if you entered the industry early, you still had to call her sister in front of these people. Originally, for a small character like her, people didn't even bother to make things difficult for her. The bad thing was that some time ago, she somehow got lucky and was chosen by a director to act as the second female lead. In the end, Liang Bichin also took a fancy to this role. Liang Bichin was Su Yimo's cousin and used Su Yimo's power to do whatever she wanted in the company. This time, a minor role was taken by Lu. How could she not punish her? At that moment, there were already many people in the hall. Who didn't know that Liang Bichin was purposely looking for trouble? However, not a single person dared to stand out. No one dared to say a single word. Instead, there were many who followed the wind and echoed Liang Bichin, cursing White Dew. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that Shungsha Entertainment was Su Yimo's world. If you offended her and her henchmen, you wouldn't be able to survive in the entertainment industry anymore. Looking at the cold and numb eyes of the surrounding people, Lu could only coldly pick up the stained skirt and continue to plead, "This little stain, I promise I can really wash it off." Liang Bichin crossed her arms and unceremoniously kicked Lu, "Take off your dirty hand." "Wash? Are you kidding me? How are you going to wash them? Do you wash it by hand? How can I still want such expensive clothes after they were washed by your rough hands?" After cursing, Liang Bichin rolled her eyes, held Su Yimo's hand, and said coquettishly, "Cousin, this woman has been in our company for 10 years, but she's still a walk-on. She's so clumsy when we ask her to do some small things. It's a waste of the company's resources to keep this kind of person in the company. Just let her go." Liang Bichin's words made it seem like she was treating Su Yimo as the mistress of the company. However, Su Yimo obviously fell for it. Her expression immediately became much better, and she began to seriously consider it. Chapter 391. After all, in this company, no one dared to not give her face. It was too easy to chase someone away. She could just call Lu's manager. Lu became even more anxious. She knelt down with a thud and grabbed Su Yimo's clothes tightly as she pleaded, "Sister Yimo, I beg you. Don't chase me away. As long as you don't chase me away, I'll do anything you want. I beg you. I beg you." Just as White Dew was begging incessantly, a pink figure ran in from the direction of the door. Because Lu was kneeling in the middle of the road, she couldn't avoid her and accidentally bumped into her. Lu's body tilted and she exclaimed. Su Yimo's clothes, which she was holding, were accidentally pulled by her. Lu was so scared that her face turned pale. She couldn't care less about being hit. The first thing she did when she got up was to check her clothes, afraid that she had accidentally torn them. At this moment, Liang Bichin reached out and picked up the hem of her dress. After scanning the torn part, she turned to Ningxi and scolded, "Don't you have eyes? Do you know how to walk? Where do you think you are? Where do you think you can run around unruly? Do you know how much trouble you've caused? What did you break? You can't even pay for this dress if you sell yourself." Ningxi's appearance made the onlookers who were focused on Lu's incident even more excited. "Hey, isn't that Ningxi? She's dressed so pink today. It's not her style at all. I almost didn't recognize her. TSK, there's going to be a good show. I heard that the company is grooming her to be Lung Manyun's successor. She's been in the limelight recently. What do you think will happen when the two of them fight? Do you even need to ask?" No matter how much Ningxi is in the limelight, can she beat Su Yimo? She's like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Sorry, I bumped into you. Are you okay? On the other side, Ningxi was apologizing to Bai Lu when she was suddenly scolded by Liang Biqin. Her eyebrows slightly wrinkled as she listened to the surrounding discussions and looked at the stained skirt in Bai Lu's hands. She roughly understood the current situation. Originally, it was Bai Lu who had accidentally dirtied Su Yimo's clothes. Now, it seemed that Huamian accidentally bumped into Bai Lu and caused her to tear Su Yimo's clothes. At this time, Liang Biqin, who didn't recognize Ningxi at first, knew who Ningxi was after Zhao Meishan reminded her. Liang Biqin took a careful look at Ningxi's pink princess dress and the diamond hair clip on her head. She was amused. She is Ningxi. I thought he would be someone incredible, but he's just this kind of trash. No wonder my cousin doesn't put her in her eyes at all. No wonder. As for Su Yimo, she didn't even look at Ningxi as usual. No matter how Ningxi jumped around, in her eyes, he was just a ridiculous ant that could be pinched to death with one finger. It was ridiculous that those people still dared to compare this kind of person with her. Now that she knew this woman was Ningxi, Liang Biqin wouldn't let her go. She could deal with the two of them together. Thus, she immediately said to the two of them sternly, Bai Lu. And you, Ningxi, right? Don't say that I'm purposely making things difficult for you. Everyone saw that the clothes have been torn by the two of you. Do you want to wash them and be done with it? Chapter 392. Bai Lu's hands kept trembling, and she looked at Su Yimo in horror. I was careless. Sister Yimo, it's all my fault. Please tell me what to do. As long as I can do it, I'll definitely do it. Su Yimo naturally couldn't be bothered to talk to someone of her level. She only glanced at the manager next to her. Thus, Zhao Meishan stepped forward and casually pulled at the hem of the dress to check it. She said in an exaggerated tone, the tear is so big, the dress is definitely ruined. How about this? As long as the two of you pay for one of the original pieces, this matter will be settled. Liang Biqin looked smug when she heard this. She pretended to be generous and said, you two heard it. 1 to 1, that's not too much to ask, right? Bai Lu's lips trembled, and 2 streams of tears flowed down her cheeks. Liang Biqin knew that even if she added up all her savings, she wouldn't be able to afford such a high-end dress. And Ningxi was just a newcomer. She hadn't even started making money yet, and even if she did, most of it would belong to the company. How could she afford to pay for it? At this moment, Ningxi walked over to Su Yimo, picked up the gorgeous hem of the dress, and took a closer look. She saw that apart from the obvious stain on the dress, Bai Lu's tug just now didn't cause much damage. There was almost no trace of damage to the naked eye, and it didn't even need to be mended. Thus, Ningxi muttered, let's not talk about the stain first. This mark is almost invisible, so it shouldn't have any effect. Liang Biqin was immediately displeased when she heard this. She sharply interrupted her. What do you mean? Do you think I'd trick you too? Such a high-end dress, even the slightest flaw is equivalent to ruining the dress, not to mention such a large area of silk. Where did you come from? If you don't know anything, don't embarrass yourself here. Zhao Meishan glanced at the bored Su Yimo and sneered. I'm afraid you're just trying to escape responsibility. Unfortunately, so many people were watching. If she hadn't suddenly run over like a lunatic and bumped into someone, would the dress have been ruined? Now you're trying to make a false accusation? After Zhao Meishan finished speaking, she casually glanced at some of the onlookers. Then, someone immediately followed up and said, that's right. Sister Meishan's suggestion is not excessive. You have to compensate for ruining someone's clothes. It's only right and proper. I just wanted her to pay for one of them, yet she still made excuses. He really didn't know what was good for him. What kind of person was this? His character is too bad. Sister Mo's clothes were ruined as soon as she got them. What a terrible thing. She's so good-tempered that she hasn't been angry. Someone took the opportunity to suck up to him. Isn't that right? This is Chanel's latest limited edition, and it hasn't even been released yet. My heart aches just by looking at it. Speaking of which, these clothes aren't on the market yet. Even if they have the money, I'm afraid they won't be able to buy them, right? The man didn't mean it, but when he said it, not only did he fail to flatter Suyimo, he even made it sound like Suyimo was deliberately making things difficult for him. As expected, Suyimo's expression changed. After realizing that he had said the wrong thing, the person was scared to death. He quickly tried to salvage the situation. Sister Mo, you're lowering your standards by arguing with this kind of person. Look at them, you know that they won't be able to pay for it. Since the clothes aren't on the market yet, why don't we just let them pay for something of a similar grade? Chapter 393. Someone on the side tactfully gave Suyimo a way out. That won't do. Yimo's is a limited edition dress. If you don't get one, you'll lose one. Hearing this, Suyimo's face softened a little. She said impatiently, fine, it's not impossible to get one of the same grade. Liang Bichin immediately jumped out and said indignantly, cousin, you're too kind. This will only make some despicable people more arrogant. When the people around heard this, they all chimed in. What are you two waiting for? Come over and thank Sister Yimo. You're so lucky. Sister Yimo is so kind that she didn't make things difficult for you. Bai Lu knelt on the ground with a dazed expression and couldn't say a word. Ha, clothes of the same grade. They were all the same to her, she couldn't afford it. Was she going to be kicked out of the company today? Although she had prepared for the worst, she still couldn't accept it when it really happened. She had persevered for a whole 10 years and was about to get better, but it was all over because she dirtied a dress. Seeing Bai Lu's gloomy expression, the onlookers all looked distressed and made up their minds to provoke anyone but Suyimo. As for Ningxi, she probably wouldn't have a good ending today. Everyone knew that Ningxi had been oppressed by Starlight Entertainment and didn't have much money on hand. As for now, although she had signed a contract with Shengxia, she hadn't signed a new show yet. Instead, she had signed a small game endorsement. She didn't know if she had paid the endorsement fee, but even if she did, it would only buy a corner of her dress. At this moment, Ningxi was squinting her eyes, not knowing what to think. Hearing the surrounding urging and Bai Lu's sobbing, her eyes flashed with a trace of light and then she said, you want to compensate me with a dress of the same grade? Wait for me for a few minutes. I'll go home and get it. Fortunately, the apartment was close to the company. As soon as he said that, everyone looked at each other in dismay. That's easy for you to say. Go home and get it. Would Ningxi have a dress of this grade? If she does, I'll cut off my head and let you sit on it. Are you kidding me? For someone like her who loved to show off, if she really had one, she would have worn it out to show off. How could she not have worn it even once? He definitely wanted to save face and put on a brave front. He's stalling for time. No matter how long you delay, you can't just make one out of thin air, right? What did he mean by being on the same level? It had to be about the same in all aspect. What was Yimo's grade? Not to mention that it's not even on the market yet. Even if it's on the market, there won't be more than 10 pieces of it in the world. Liang Bichin sneered, haha, alright, we'll wait. But don't go and never come back. If you don't come back, cousin sister won't chase you to the ends of the earth for such a small matter. At that time, only Bai Lu will have to pay for it. These words were clearly meant to label Ningxi as a shameless villain. As long as she dared not to come back, she would definitely have to bear this title. If she came back and returned empty-handed, it would be even more embarrassing. As for whether Ningxi would get the clothes, she wasn't worried at all. In such a short period of time, even if she went to find someone to ask for help, it would be too late. Which top-notch brand didn't require a long time in advance to buy? Chapter 394. Ningxi glanced at Liang Bichin and the others with a faint smile. She didn't talk much with them and ran straight out of the company. Not long after Ningxi left, Zhao Anxin suddenly remembered that there seemed to be a lot of GE clothes in Ningxi's apartment. Could it be that Ningxi took that? But then she thought that it was impossible. That was the company's stuff. What right did she have to compensate others with the company's stuff? If Ningxi really took it, she would definitely humiliate her. Not only that, she would also take the opportunity to complain about her. But it was a pity that Ningxi was able to join Golden Era from the bottom of Starlight. She must be a scheming person, and not that stupid. Otherwise, It would be fun to play with her. Time ticked by, everyone was looking outside, and Bai Lu's eyes never left the door. After all, she was at her wit's end and Ningxi was her only hope. TSK, Bai Lu, you're still looking. Don't tell me you really believe that she'll come back. Liang Biqin looked at Bai Lu's pitiful expression and didn't forget to add insult to injury. H, this is what you get for snatching a role from me. Let's see who dares to go against me in the future. Bai Lu's face darkened. She didn't say a word. In fact, she knew that her chances were slim. Everyone has seen it. We've given you a chance and lowered the standard again and again. If you still can't pay us back, you can't blame us. Liang Biqin paused and changed the subject. If you want to blame someone, blame Ningxi. If it wasn't for her, would the clothes have been ruined? Zhao Meishan also put on a regretful expression. It's just a little dirty, it's not a big deal. I can just wash it, who knew? Sigh. Bai Lu naturally knew that Liang Biqin and Zhao Meishan were trying to sow discord. She pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Actually, she didn't blame Ningxi. She only blamed herself for being unlucky. She hadn't been popular for 10 years. She finally got the role of the second female lead, but she fell straight into the abyss. How could she not be unlucky? After waiting for a while, Su Yimo's expression gradually became impatient. Liang Biqin saw Su Yimo's expression and immediately said angrily, "Didn't you say it'll only take a few minutes? Why aren't they here yet?" Zhao Anxin was also displeased. "You've gone too far. If you can't pay, just say so. You've made us wait for so long. Does she know how precious our time is?" The others around him nodded. "We knew she couldn't take it out. We shouldn't have waited in vain. It doesn't matter to us. Sister Yimo is so shameless to make her wait like this. This person is too shameless. In my opinion, Sister Yimo, if she really dares to run away, don't let her off so easily." "That's right. Otherwise, it would be too easy on her." For a moment, those who saw the wind and sailed their sails all attacked Ningxi together. Seeing that the situation was set, the last hope in Bai Lu's eyes was finally extinguished. How unreconciled. However, no matter how unwilling he was, what could he do? At this moment, a clear and melodious voice suddenly came from the gate. "I'm back." The girl was still dressed in pink. She was panting slightly as she stood against the light. Ningxi, interesting. She really dared to come back. She seems to be holding something in her hand. Could it be clothes? Chapter 395. Ningxi was indeed holding something in her hand. It was a plastic bag used in supermarkets, and it was filled with an unknown grey substance. As Ningxi walked closer, the crowd could see the plastic bag in her hand. In an instant, the crowd burst into laughter. "Oh my, this is hilarious. What's that in Ningxi's hand? Did she go to the supermarket to buy one? Ha 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 ha. Oh my god. No way. I'm speechless. What kind of IQ does she have?" Zhao Anxin looked at the wrinkled plastic bag in Ningxi's hand, and the grey fabric in the bag, and came to a conclusion. Ningxi was at her wit's end, and she even resorted to such a lousy trick. Ningxi, even if you can't take it out, you can't just buy one to fool people, can you? Do you think we're all blind? Zhao Anxin emphasized the last sentence. Liang Biqin burst into laughter. "I'm starting to doubt her IQ when I saw her stupid outfit today, but I didn't expect her to be retarded. How did someone like her come to Golden Era? She's in her own company, and if she were to go out, she'd be a disgrace to the company." Ningxi slowly took out a grey shirt from the plastic bag, and said slowly, "Oh, so something that's in a supermarket's plastic bag must have been bought from the supermarket. That's a smart logic. You." Liang Biqin's face darkened as she laughed, and then she gritted her teeth. "You're just a country bumpkin, you really don't understand. I'll teach you today. Even the packaging is enough to buy a whole set of your clothes. If you didn't buy it from the supermarket, then where did you buy it from? Who would use a bag like that to store expensive clothes?" Ningxi blinked, and said matter-of-factly, "Me? Is there a problem? Who said that I can't pretend to be like this? You're still so stubborn. I think you won't give up until you see your own coffin." No one in this company dared to argue with her. How could Liang Biqin tolerate being choked twice? She immediately glared at the crowd. Someone in the crowd caught Liang Biqin's gaze and immediately ran over, snatched the clothes from Ningxi's hands, and then exclaimed in an exaggerated manner, "What color is this? Like dog's hit. So old-fashioned. Such vulgar clothes. Who gave you the courage to take it out? TSK, this soft texture is even worse than a rag. Even if you want to make up the numbers, you should at least show some sincerity. We have so many people here. Do you think we are all blind? It doesn't matter if you think we're blind. Do you think Sister Yimo is blind?" Ningxi looked coldly at those people who were passing the grey clothes around. A cold light flashed across her eyes. "Be careful. If you break it, we can't afford to pay for it." As soon as he finished speaking, an even louder roar of laughter erupted from the crowd. "Ha ha 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 ha, she's really putting on an act." In the past, when people said that her acting skills were good, I didn't believe them. Now, I finally believe it. His acting skills are worthy of an Oscar. At this moment, Bai Lu quietly moved to Ningxi's side. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Ningxi, forget it. They all know what they're doing, you can't fool them." Chapter 396. They all know the ropes. Are you sure? Ningxi raised an eyebrow and asked. Perhaps it was because Ningxi's acting skills were too good, but a few of them felt a little scared when they saw how confident Ningxi was. One of the female artists, who was holding the clothes, unconsciously loosened her grip and mumbled, "Even if I could see through this lousy dress, I wouldn't be able to tell what's so special about it. Where does she get her confidence from? What are you looking at? She must be lying. Even if we're wrong, can Sister Maishin and Sister Yimo be wrong?" "That's right. I was almost tricked by her," the female artist said. She saw a trash can next to her, sneered, and was about to throw it in. But, before she threw the clothes, Ningxi suddenly looked at her coldly. She was so scared that she shivered and stopped what she was doing. The female artist bit her lip and looked down at the clothes again. "This tattered cloth. Are you addicted to looking at it?" Someone next to her said and was about to grab the clothes in her hands. The female artist was checking the collar of the clothes. She didn't know what she saw, but her face turned pale and she looked extremely panicked. "Don't move. Be careful. What are you doing? Why are you so nervous?" The female artist looked down again and swallowed. She stuffed the clothes into the hands of the person next to her and said in a low voice, "This looks like GE clothes." "What GE?" "It's Sister Yimo's favorite brand. GE." Many of the people present were Su Yimo's flatterers, so they knew what she liked very well. When the person next to her heard this, his face immediately turned green. He was so agitated that he unconsciously raised his voice. "What? This is Sister Yimo's favorite brand. GE." As soon as he said that, the noisy crowd instantly fell silent. The person next to her also saw the small logo on the clothes and immediately stuffed the clothes back to her in horror. "Then why did you give it to me?" She didn't know if it had been passed around by those people just now. If it really was damaged, who would be responsible for it? The female artist hugged the thin piece of fabric as if she was hugging a hot potato. She looked towards Su Yimo with an expression as if she was about to cry. "Sister Yimo, this dress." Su Yimo frowned and glanced at Zhao Anxin. "What's going on?" Zhao Anxin saw that something was wrong, so she quickly walked over and picked up the clothes. "Sister Maishin, these clothes seem to be from GE. What nonsense are you talking about? Are your dog eyes blind? GE's clothes are famous for their extravagance. Where is this rag?" Before she could finish, Zhao Anxin had already seen the low-key yet luxurious logo embroidered with gold thread on the collar. This is impossible." Liang Biqin also hurriedly came over and looked at the logo. "I'm afraid it's fake, right? A replica?" Ningxi was too bold. They dared to imitate any brand. Even if it's an imitation, it should at least be more realistic. No matter how I look at it, it can't be Sister Mo's favorite brand, right? Zhao Maishin pinched her eyebrows and walked to Su Yimo's side. "Yimo, look, this dress." Su Yimo casually picked it up with one finger and in the next second, her expression changed. This very inconspicuous piece of clothing, it really was Ji's style. Chapter 397. Moreover, it wasn't just Ji's style, it was also one of the most unique pieces. It was also the only pajamas, so its style was different from the others. The fabric was soft and thin for comfort. It was actually made of a rare and precious type of silk that was difficult to breed. Su Yimo looked at it carefully again. Luckily, the material was sturdy and the clothes weren't damaged. She let out a sigh of relief. Although she liked this brand of clothes, the clothes in her hands belonged to that bitch, Ningxi. Realizing that she was relieved because of Ningxi's clothes, Su Yimo felt even more humiliated. She threw the clothes at Zhao Meishan. When Zhao Meishan saw the look on Su Yimo's face, she knew she was right. The clothes really did belong to Ji. When the onlookers saw Zhao Meishan's and Su Yimo's expressions, they realized that something was wrong. It's over. It can't really be Ji's, right? I pulled it hard just now. Will I have to pay for it if I break it? I thought Ningxi was lying. What the hell? Where did Ningxi get this kind of clothes? I suddenly remembered something. Before this, there was a rumor that. Hearing the whispers around her, Su Yimo remembered what Zhao Anxin had told her. She said that Ningxi's apartment had a closet full of clothes from this brand. Therefore, she was sure that the clothes were real. Su Yimo glared at Zhao Meishan. How could she forget something like that? Zhao Anxin wiped her sweat and said in a low voice, Yimo, I actually thought of this before, but I didn't expect her to be so bold, to use the company's clothes to pay for it. I don't need to know the reason. You solve this for me. Su Yimo threw the clothes at Zhao Meishan unhappily. Damn it, she made people think that she was blind in front of so many people. She couldn't even recognize Ji's clothes. Zhao Meishan nodded. Yes. I'll solve it. Yimo, don't worry. You don't need to do anything, just wait and see. I'll teach her a lesson. With that, Zhao Meishan glared at Ningxi and scolded, Ningxi, how dare you? How dare you steal the company's property? Ningxi raised her eyebrows. Oh, I've embezzled the company's property. How do you explain this? Zhao Meishan laughed coldly and said confidently, do you think we don't know? You do have a lot of GE clothes in your apartment, but they all belong to the company. Your place is just a company warehouse. Are you so naive to think that these clothes belong to you just because you have them? Can you just give it away? Liang Biqin sneered. See, I told you she's an idiot. I told her there was something wrong with her brain, but she insisted on arguing with me. When the people around them heard this, they all revealed expressions of sudden realization. So that's how it is. Ningxi is really bold. Using the company's things to show off. Not bad. He must have gone crazy from wanting to be in the limelight. Bai Lu was already trembling in fear. She couldn't help casting a worried look at Ningxi. Oh no, things were getting out of hand. It was just a matter of clothes. At most, she would be kicked out of the company, but now it was about stealing the company's property. She might even have to go to jail. Chapter 398. Ningxi gave Bai Lu a comforting look. Then, she waited for the surrounding discussions to die down before she said, Senior Su, Sister Meishan, regardless of whether this piece of clothing is the company's property, and regardless of whether I have a problem with my brain, I have already taken out a piece of clothing of the same grade according to your request. You only need to fulfill your promise, and this matter will be over. As for everything that happens next, all the responsibility is mine. I will bear it alone. It has nothing to do with you. Su Yimo's eyes immediately turned cold. Zhao Meishan wanted to refute, but she couldn't find any words to refute. Her face froze. Liang Biqin said angrily, Nonsense. It's ridiculous. Ningxi shrugged. There were so many witnesses just now. You said it yourself. I didn't say a word. After saying that, he paused for a moment, then dragged his voice and continued, those words only counted for the last second, and don't count for the next second. Of course, if that's the case, as a newbie, I have nothing to say. Provoked by Ningxi's words, Zhao Meishan and Su Yimo looked at each other and then said, We, Yimo, will keep our word. Ningxi, since you want to die, don't blame us. Zhao Meishin glanced at Bai Lu casually. Since you two have taken out clothes of the same grade as we requested, then this matter ends here. Zhao Meishin's tone was obviously a little guilty when she said it was of the same grade. After all, anyone with a discerning eye would know that even if it was just a set of pajamas, the quality of the clothes Ningxi brought was several levels higher than the ones Su Yimo was wearing. Hearing this, Bai Lu didn't feel relieved at all. Instead, she looked at Ningxi anxiously. Although she would be fine now, Ningxi would be in trouble. Today's incident had started because of her, and Ningxi was innocent. Liang Biqin took Su Yimo's arm and glared at Ningxi. Cousin, let's go. We've wasted so much time on such a trivial matter. What bad luck. Su Yimo glanced at Ningxi coldly and walked away without looking back. The onlookers who were whispering to each other were ready to disperse. I didn't expect this to be the result. Although Bai Lu escaped, Ningxi is doomed, isn't she? That goes without saying. What a huge crime. It's just a matter of dying sooner or later. Just as Su Yimo and the others were about to leave, Ningxi's voice came from behind them. Senior Su, please wait. Su Yimo's expression turned even worse, as if to say, what right do you have to make me stop? Liang Biqin immediately snapped, Ningxi, you're not done, are you? Zhao Meishin looked at Ningxi mockingly, oh, what? Are you afraid now? Are you regretting? However, the words have already been said, and there are so many witnesses at the scene. It's too late to back out now. The corner of Ningxi's mouth curled up imperceptibly. Sister Meishin is worrying too much. How could I regret it? Then why did you ask my cousin to wait? Are you crazy? Ningxi looked at Su Yimo, who was looking down at her with disdain. I just wanted to remind Senior Su of something. Please take off your clothes. Chapter 399. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire place was filled with the sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air in fear. Liang Biqin's eyes widened. Ningxi, you're so bold. Even Su Yimo, who had been disdainful of talking to Ningxi, turned livid and scolded in a low voice, how dare you? Zhao Meishin's face was twisted with anger. Ningxi, are you crazy? How dare you say such filthy words to humiliate Yimo in public? Bai Lu was so scared that she didn't even dare to speak, and everyone looked at Ningxi as if they had seen a ghost. Ningxi, how dare she say that? She's been behaving strangely today. Is she under a spell? Otherwise, why would she keep looking for trouble? Hearing Su Yimo and the others scolding, Ningxi's expression didn't change at all. Instead, she put on an innocent expression. Well, I don't know what I said wrong. Why are you so angry, Senior Su? I've already compensated for the damaged clothes as you asked. So, shouldn't Senior Su's clothes belong to me now? Everyone was silent. Even Su Yimo and the other two were speechless. In the end, it was Liang Biqin who spoke first. Ningxi, are you crazy because of poverty? You want a piece of ragged clothes? Ningxi had a troubled expression as she looked at Su Yimo. Miss Liang's words are really wrong. Senior Su's clothes are so expensive. How can you say it's ragged clothes? This is Chanel's latest international limited edition haute couture dress. It's not even on the market yet. Even if it's on the market, there are only 10 of them in the world. If you don't have one, you'll have one less. This kind of clothes, even if it's just a bag, is enough to buy my outfit. How can you say it's ragged clothes? Ningxi's memory was really good. She repeated all the compliments they had just given to this dress. You. Liang Biqin almost choked to death. Don't change the topic. What I mean is that the clothes are dirty and broken, not that they are torn. Ningxi nodded in understanding. It doesn't matter if it's dirty. Sister Meishin already said that it'll be fine as long as it's washed. It doesn't matter if it's damaged. I've seen it just now. That small flaw doesn't enter Senior Su's eyes. But anyway, my eyesight isn't very good and I'm relatively blind, so I don't care at all. Although he was saying that he was blind, the underlying meaning behind his words was still unknown to who was the one who was blind. However, Ningxi's words were so vague and flawless. Even if Su Yimo and the others understood, there was nothing they could do. Watching until now, The onlookers were already stunned. The plot had changed too quickly, like a tornado. After saying this, Ningxi suddenly looked at Liang Biqin with an extremely nervous expression. "Miss Liang, your hand. Stay away from Senior Su. Be careful of the water diamonds on your fingernails, don't let them hook into my clothes. This dress is so expensive, I can't afford it even if I sell it." As soon as he finished speaking, the people around him almost burst out laughing. Liang Biqin seemed to be about to faint from anger. Zhao Meishan stood up and scolded her solemnly. "Ningxi, do you have any shame? You're a scoundrel." Ningxi looked aggrieved. "Scoundrels are all unreasonable. I don't know if what I said was scoundrel or scoundrel." Chapter 400. The most infuriating thing about Ningxi's words was that they were reasonable and couldn't be refuted. After fighting with Liang Biqin and Zhao Meishan, Ningxi turned to Su Yimo and said pitifully, "Senior Su, I know this is your favorite. It took a lot of courage for me to ask you to take it off for me. Actually, I regretted it as soon as I said it. A gentleman doesn't take what others love. Senior Su's clothes. I'll give it to you too. I don't want it. Ningxi, you." Su Yimo had never been bullied like this ever since she became famous. Unable to catch his breath, he nearly vomited blood. What did she mean by giving it to her? This bitch actually spoke as if she was giving it to her cousin. "Cousin, are you okay?" Liang Biqin shouted excitedly. "Ningxi, how dare you say you're not a scoundrel? Do you want my cousin to take off her clothes and give it to you in front of so many people? Do you want to die?" Liang Biqin was so agitated that she almost blurted out. Ningxi looked terrified. "How is that possible? Of course Senior Su will find a washroom or somewhere else to change, and I'll wait here. I can wait as long as you want." Zhao Meishan comforted Su Yimo as she looked at the grey clothes in her hands. "This is pajamas. You asked Yimo to change into this pajamas?" Ningxi hurriedly said, "How can that be? Sister Meishan, you've wronged me. Then, if you don't have any spare clothes in the nanny van, I can wait a few more days." She was implying that Zhao Meishan and the others couldn't bear to part with Su Yimo's clothes, so they deliberately picked on Ningxi. At this moment, Su Yimo finally calmed down. Her lips were pale as she said sternly to Zhao Meishan, "Give it back to her. Give it back. Give it back to her." Zhao Meishan looked troubled. "This. Yimo, if I give it back to her, there would be no evidence of her embezzling the company's finances." Before she could finish, Su Yimo glared at her. "Didn't you hear what I said? Didn't she embarrass herself enough today?" She had had enough. Zhao Meishan didn't dare to disobey her. She hurriedly ran to Ningxi and stuffed the pajamas into her hands. All right, you can have it back. It's just a piece of clothing. Look at how anxious you are. You look like you've never seen the world." In order to get back at her, Liang Biqin quickly added, "I told you she's a country bumpkin. You're treating a piece of ruined clothing as if it's something. You're just short of ripping it off my cousin." Then, she glared at the people around her and urged them to curse Ningxi. The onlookers were already dumbfounded when Ningxi suddenly called out to Su Yimo, so they were so quiet that they forgot to speak. Now that Liang Biqin was urging them, a few of them absent-mindedly said a few perfunctory words. "Exactly. Look at how poor she is. Big sis Yimo is too generous. It's such an expensive dress, but in the end, she said she didn't want to pay for it. Sister Mo is just teaching them how to behave. She doesn't really care about a piece of clothing. Why is she so anxious?" Su Yimo took a deep breath and resumed her noble and cold expression. She walked away with Liang Biqin and Zhao Meishan by her side without looking back. Chapter 401. Behind her, Ningxi smiled and carefully patted the dust on the clothes in her hand. Tut, she should go back and wash it. It was dirted by these people's dirty hands. The clothes were given to her by Mr. Boss. How could she really give them to Su Yimo? Even if she took them, she had to spit them out. It was not until a long time after Su Yimo left that the people around finally dared to speak. They were all in a trance. That's it. I guessed the beginning, but I didn't know the ending. Moreover, did you notice? She only went home once and said a few words. In the end, she didn't have to pay any price and she's fine, that's true. After the crowd gradually dispersed, Bailu finally recovered her senses and anxiously walked to Ningxi's side. Ningxi. Her. Sister Bailu. Ningxi carefully folded the clothes and put them into her bag. Bailu frowned. Ningxi, although this matter has been solved, you have offended them badly today. What if they make trouble for you in the future? Ningxi smiled carelessly. Sister Bailu, do you think they won't make trouble for me in the future if I don't offend them? Bailu was slightly stunned and shook her head subconsciously. That was true. Given Ningxi's current position, she had a conflict of interest with Su Yimo. No matter how careful she was, trouble was inevitable. And, Sister Bailu, don't worry. Su Yimo cares about her reputation the most. Today's matter has become so big. If she immediately makes trouble for you, it will be too obvious. So, in the short term, you are safe. She didn't mention Ningxi. Now all the hatred had been transferred to her. Su Yimo had no time to care about Bailu. Bailu was moved and bowed to thank her. Ningxi, thank you so much for today. Otherwise, I would have been kicked out of the company. Sister Bailu, you're welcome. I didn't help you much. We are both in the same boat, Ningxi said and noticed the bruises on Bailu's knees. Sister Bailu, are you okay? Do you want to go to the hospital? Bailu hurriedly shook her head. No need, it's just a small injury. Then she looked a little embarrassed. Ningxi, just call me by my name. Don't call me sister. I'm not qualified to call you sister. Ningxi chuckled. You're older than me. Isn't it natural for me to call you sister? Besides, I really like Sister Bailu's works. Your Red River, Green Orn, Where the Wind Blows. I've seen all of them. His acting skills are amazing. Bailu was stunned when she heard that. You've seen my radiographic films? These were all works that she had more scenes in, but because they were too artistic, she didn't make any waves. Plus, she was unlucky, so she didn't win any awards. Ningxi nodded confidently. Yes. Sister Bailu's acting skills are very unique, especially when it comes to handling the details. I've specially studied it, but unfortunately, you have too few films. But it's alright, I've seen the movie you just released. Listen. I feel that the possibility of you winning an award is very high. Then you'll be able to act in more good films and benefit the audience. Bailu stared blankly at Ningxi's long speech and couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. She now believed that Ningxi had really seen her works, otherwise she wouldn't know her acting style so well. Chapter 402. All of a sudden, all the grievances she had suffered in the past 10 years gushed out, and she sighed with emotion. She had always thought that what she had done was useless. No matter how hard she tried, no one would notice it. She didn't expect that there would be someone who had paid attention to her. Bailu's voice trembled with excitement. Thank you. Ningxi, thank you so much. But I didn't even dare to think about winning an award. As long as I can stay in the company and not starve to death. Bailu smiled bitterly. Actually, I've thought about changing careers, but I realized that 10 years is too long. Acting has become an inseparable part of me. Other than acting, I don't know anything else. Ningxi could understand how Bailu felt. She immediately said, Sister Bailu, I have a hunch. You'll be famous. My hunch is very accurate. Bailu couldn't help laughing. Even though she knew she was comforting her, she still felt warm inside. Thank you. It's already so late. I'm running out of time. Let's talk next time. Bye, Sister Bailu. Ningxi looked at the time. She was half an hour late. She hurriedly said goodbye to Bailu and ran upstairs. Bye, Ningxi rushed to Lin Jiji's office, panting. Jiang Mui's face was already dark. When he saw her, he immediately threw the game console in his hand. Ningxi, are you doing this on purpose? You make me wait for so long every time. Do you know how much money I make per minute? Do you know how busy I am and how precious my time is? Hearing this, Ningxi put on a more reasonable expression. Golden hair, don't you have any gentlemanly demeanor? I'm a girl. What's wrong with waiting for me? Jiang Mui almost vomited blood. Heh. Girl. Now you remember that you are a girl. Why didn't he remember that she was a girl when he beat her? I'll be a girl whenever I want. Ningxi snorted and skipped straight to Lin Jiji. Sister Jiji, I'm sorry. I was delayed by something, so I'm a little late. I'm sorry for making you wait for me. Jiang Mui. Alright, he was already numb to this differential treatment. Lin Jiji was used to the way Ningxi and Jiang Mui got along. She calmly looked up from the computer screen and glanced at her. Did you have a conflict with Su Yimo? It's over. Big sis Jiji found out. Ningxi raised her eyebrows and rolled her eyes. She immediately praised Lin Jiji. Sister Jiji, you even know about it. It had just happened a second ago. You are like the reincarnation of Zhuge Kongming. You don't even need to step out of your house to know what's happening in the world. Jiang Mui. Lin Jiji was silent for a few seconds. She looked at her helplessly and said, it's already spread in the company's group chat. Ningxi was dumbfounded. His flattery had gone too far. So it was spread in the company group chat. Hey, everyone is too gossipy. What? No more conflict with Su Yimo? What happened? Jiang Mui was unhappy that he was ignored. He walked directly to Lin Jiji's desk and snatched the mouse from her hand. Because of Jiang Mui's sudden approach, Lin Jiji's usually calm face flashed with a trace of imperceptible strangeness, but she quickly recovered. Seeing Jiang Mui go to look, Ningxi followed him and didn't notice the subtle change in Lin Jiji. Chapter 403. Jiang Mui looked at the chat records in the group and was amazed. His eyes sparkled. Finally, he patted Ningxi on the shoulder. Ning Xiaoxi, good job. Well done. That's so satisfying. I'm glad you listened to what I said last time. Not bad. Keep it up. Ningxi rolled her eyes at him and looked at Lin Jiji nervously. Sister Jiji, do you think it's too high profile for me to handle this? Lin Jiji pondered for a moment and said, in that situation, your handling of the situation was already considered perfect. But it's a bit too high profile. Lin Jiji couldn't be blamed for worrying. After all, everyone in the company knew that Su Yimo's backer was that person from Lu Enterprises. Even if Ningxi was close to Lu Jingli, it would still be dangerous. She was most afraid that Ningxi's wings would be broken before they were fully developed. During this period of time, she really valued this girl and wanted to take good care of her. Jiang Mui looked down at Lin Jiji and immediately knew what she was worried about. He curled his lips and said indifferently, what are you worrying about? Ningxi has a strong backer. Compared to Su. Before he could finish, Ningxi grabbed an apple and stuffed it in his mouth. Eat your apple. Men shouldn't interrupt when women are talking. Go away. Jiang Mui took the apple away. Ning Xiaoxi, do you want to fight? Ningxi twisted her wrist. I don't want to, but you seem to want to. Since that's the case, I'll satisfy you. Jiang Mui said decisively, I'm going to eat the apple. Ningxi nodded in satisfaction and then turned to Lin Jiji who was laughing. Sister Jiji, when you worked with this guy, was he a jerk? He was very good at tormenting people, wasn't he? Lin Jiji narrowed her eyes and seemed to be reminiscing. She answered tactfully, a little. Ningxi snorted. Then he was a lot. Don't worry, I'll help you vent your anger. Jiang Mui gritted his teeth but didn't dare to say anything. He could only bite the apple angrily. Sure enough, he had to pay for what he had done. Right. Sister Jiji. I almost forgot. I want to tell you something very, very important. Ningxi suddenly said with great excitement. What is it? Lin Jiji asked. Big sister Jiji, accept the role for me. Accept a role for me. I want to work. Ningxi requested excitedly. Lin Jiji looked doubtful. So fast. Your last scene is very intense, so I've reserved a month's vacation for you. Ningxi waved her hand nonchalantly. No need. I've rested enough. I want to act. I want to make money, earn a lot of money, then drive a luxury car, live in a mansion, start a big company, do charity, and walk to the peak of life. The corner of Jiang Mui's mouth twitched. He, reaching the pinnacle of life and then marrying a rich and beautiful woman? Ning Xiaoxi, are you on steroids? Why was he so excited all of a sudden? Something felt strange. Lin Jiji chuckled. In fact, she really liked the girl's energetic personality. However, she still rationally advised, your spirit is commendable, but you can't. After the post-production of The World is completed in a month, you'll have to fly to various cities to promote the movie. You'll be very tired, so you have to conserve your energy now. Oh. Ning, she immediately hung her head in disappointment. Chapter 404. Lin Jiji continued, however, you don't have to worry that you'll be idle this month. After all, your time is very precious now. Other than the filming of the game endorsement this month, I've been helping you filter out the scripts. I've almost finished reading them. I'll give you the scripts after today's filming. During this time, you can stay at home and choose which one you like. I'll keep an eye out for the reality shows for you as well. Ning, she perked up at the mention of a script. Got it. Thank you, Sister Jiji. Sister Jiji, you're so good to me. Jiang Mui rubbed his goosebumps. Are you done flattering me? Can we go now? Go. 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 Go and earn some money. A moment later, in the studio of the game company. Yes, yes, yes. Closer. A little closer. Miss Ning, you need to be a little more delicate and lovable, like a little bird. No, 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 not like this. Be shy. Mr. Jiang, your expression is too stiff. Be gentle. Yes. Be affectionate, more affectionate, gentler. Ning Shi, who was dressed in a gorgeous ancient costume, was curled up in Jiang Mui's arms. She was in so much pain that she wished she was dead. Damn it. The price of earning money is too high. Jiang Mui, who was dressed in a handsome swordsman's outfit, twitched his mouth. Do you think I want that? You might as well beat me up. After a whole day of tormenting each other, the shooting of the game's promotional photos was finally over. But it wasn't over yet. There were still promotional videos and a few more nights of live streaming. Alas, it wasn't easy to earn money. Damn it, Ning Shi, shooting a commercial with you is more tiring than shooting a fight scene. Time to go back to sleep. Bye-bye. Jiang Mui climbed into the nanny van like a dead dog. Ning Shi was also exhausted, but she was energized at the thought of the script. Sister Jiji, the script. Lin Jiji took out a stack of scripts from her bag and handed them to her. Then, she revealed a slightly troubled expression. I gave them to you because you're too free. Actually, I should have applied for these scripts from the higher-ups first. It's just that second young master suddenly went on vacation, and it seems like he's on a small island. I can't even contact him. Ning, she was a little surprised. Well, does Lu Jingli have to review all the scripts I shoot? Lin Jiji nodded. That's what second young master said. At that time, he said that he wanted to show it to someone in charge of the Lu group. In short, it's a good thing that he values you so much. Ning, she touched her chin. The person in charge of Lu Enterprises? Could it be Sir Boss? The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. After all, Lu Tingxiao was the one who had poached her. Perhaps he wanted to check on her subject matter. How long will second young master be on vacation? Ning, she asked casually. Lin Jiji sighed. 3 months. What? Ning, she exclaimed. It's been 3 months. The daylilies had all turned cold. Was there such an irresponsible boss? So if he doesn't come back for a day, I can't shoot? Lin Jiji nodded helplessly. According to the process, yes. So I'm also having a headache. I've tried all the ways, but I can't contact him. It was a terrible news. How could that be? She wanted to shoot a movie. She wanted to make money. Ning, she was very anxious. Then, she suddenly thought of something. She paused and said hesitantly, well, Sister Jiji, since Lu Jingli can't be contacted, can we directly contact his higher-ups? Chapter 405. Lu Jingli's boss. Lin Jiji shook her head. That's skipping ranks. I'm afraid second young master won't be happy. Besides, People of our level can't get in touch with Lu Enterprises. Ning, she laughed. Sister Gigi, skipping ranks is a big taboo in the workplace. If it were someone else, I wouldn't dare to mention it. But if it's second young master, do you think he would care about such a thing? Lin Gigi hesitated. Well, Ning, she understood that Lin Gigi was a cautious person, which was a good thing. It complimented her. She thought for a moment and said, Sister Gigi, if you really care about the second young master, I can guarantee that there won't be any problems. As for how to get in touch with the people at the company, I happen to know an assistant of second young master. I'll ask him to pass a message to the higher-ups and explain the situation. It shouldn't be a problem. Besides, this is indeed a special situation. If she really had to wait for 3 months, she was afraid that she would swim to Lu Jingli's island with a kitchen knife and hack him to death. Lin Gigi thought for a while and made sure that there was no problem. She nodded and said, okay, give it a try. Okay, Ning, she answered cheerfully. She put on her mask and sunglasses. I'll go back and read the script. Hurry up and finalize the film. Okay, go ahead. Be careful on the road. Lin Gigi said in a low voice, it's a little inconvenient that you don't have a car. Bear with it for a few days. When the world is released, I can help you apply for a car from the company. Thank you, Sister Gigi I love you . After returning home, Ning, she sat cross-legged on the bed and glanced through the scripts. Lin Gigi had picked out excellent scripts for her. Most importantly, they were suitable for her. Unlike Lung Manyun, who was aloof and artsy, Lin Gigi planned for her future to be a win-win for business and reputation. Hence, the scripts she chose were of high quality and would sell well easily. Ning, she flipped through the scripts and it was already late at night. There were basically all kinds of movies. There were romance movies, comedy movies, fantasy movies, thriller movies, and there were also period dramas like Qianxia. The scripts were also very good, but for some reason, Ning, she was always a little uninterested. There wasn't a movie like The World that made her so excited and wanted to act in it at first sight. Ning, she flipped through several books several times, and finally her eyes fell on a book that she had thrown at the end of the bed. The name of the script was I Only Like You, which was obviously a boring youth idol drama, so Ning, she was not interested in it at the beginning. Oh, but from the few books that she had just read, every book had its own unique and innovative points, which made her eyes light up. So, could there be something special about this book? Ning, she picked up the script again. As a result, as soon as he read the summary of the content, his whole face lit up. Fuck me. This book was so exciting. She had actually thrown it away in disdain. Simply. This script was indeed one of those idol dramas that talked about love and could easily become popular. Furthermore, it was based on the most popular theme of a domineering CEO. The difference was that this time, the domineering CEO wasn't the male lead, but the female lead who was disguised as a man. Chapter 406. To put it simply, the female lead's family was very, very rich. They were the richest and wealthiest family in the area. Her grandfather had 2 sons, but for some reason, it was very difficult for them to have children. They just couldn't give birth, much less have a son to inherit the family business. Finally, the female lead's mother got pregnant, and it was found out to be a son. The whole family was overjoyed. What happened next could basically be guessed. After 10 months of pregnancy, the child that was born turned out to be a girl. It was like a bolt out of the blue. The female lead's mother couldn't bear the self-blame and pressure. In addition, the female lead's father wanted to inherit the family business, so the two of them decided to have their daughter disguise as a man. This disguise went on for more than 20 years. How the female lead had not been discovered for so many years was not a problem. Idol dramas did not care about logic in the first place. In short, this theme had completely piqued Ning Xi's interest. Not only did she disguise as a man, but the female lead's character was also very interesting. She was good at flirting with girls and men. She was cynical and liked thrills. Looking at it closely, it was as if it was tailor-made for her. The male lead's setting wasn't bad either. He was the female lead's assistant butler and was a loyal dog. He was sent by the female lead's grandfather to keep her in check. The female lead hated him at first and made things difficult for him in all sorts of ways. As they interacted, sparks gradually flew. I only like you. This was it. After making the decision, Ningxi was so excited that she couldn't sleep. Early the next morning, she ran to the company to discuss it with Lin Jiji. Sister Jiji, I've chosen. Lin Jiji looked at the girl in surprise. So fast. Which one have you taken a fancy to? This one. Ningxi handed the book she had chosen to Lin Jiji like it was a treasure. Lin Jiji picked up the book and glanced at it. I only like you. It's a very popular IP. It's an adaptation of a popular novel. Yes, that's it. Lin Jiji held her head in her hand and pondered for a moment. Then, she analyzed, are you sure you want to choose this? The investment for this script isn't huge, only 10 million yuan. Of course, for a modern drama, this investment isn't considered small. When I first chose this script, it was because of your stage and looks. It's very suitable for idol dramas, but I didn't dare to choose a typical idol drama for you, because it's easy to be labeled as a pretty face and waste the good reputation that the world has accumulated. But this drama is different. The female lead of this drama is a test of her acting skills. Ningxi nodded. Sister Jiji, you're right. Lin Jiji raised her head and looked at her carefully. To be honest, I'm a little surprised that you would choose this. With your looks, are you sure you're up to the task of dressing up as a man? If they didn't handle it well and acted like a sissy, it would make the plot seem fake and the audience would criticize them. If he wasn't careful, it would turn into a thunderstorm. It's not like there hasn't been such a case before. I'm sure, I'm confident. Otherwise, I'll go home and change into men's clothes for you to see. Ningxi said and was about to run home. Lin Jiji chuckled. No need. It's fine as long as you're confident. I believe in you. Actually, in this drama The World, from the small scene where Ningxi acted as a female general, she had a very heroic air about her. Her aura didn't belong to a man. If she really dressed up as a man, although it would be difficult, it wasn't impossible. Ningxi was so touched that her eyes welled up. Sister Jiji, I love you so much. Then I'll go and contact the people at the company now. Millimeter, go ahead. Chapter 407. Ningxi happily left the company and sent a text message to Lu Tingxiao while walking. Tang Xiaoxi, boss, are you free now? I have something to trouble you with. At the same time, in a factory of the Lu Enterprises, a group of senior leaders were clustered around the black-suited, cold-faced boss in awe and trepidation. The factory director, who was leading the way, was talking non-stop about the high-tech equipment in the factory and bragging about his own achievements. Before he could finish his words, he heard a ding sound. It seemed to be a message notification. Lu Tingxiao looked down at the message and immediately raised his hand to signal for silence. The director was still talking non-stop, but he only reacted after being reminded by the deputy director next to him. He quickly shut his mouth while trembling with fear. They saw that after their boss received a message, he immediately called back. Everyone looked at each other. Was there something urgent? On the other side, Ningxi was feeling uneasy. She didn't know if Lu Tingxiao was busy at this time and if she would disturb him. In the end, a few seconds later, Lu Tingxiao's call came in. Ningxi hurriedly picked up. Boss. Yes, what's up? On the other end of the line, the leaders around Lu Tingxiao couldn't help but tremble when they heard their boss's voice. Damn, who is our boss calling? Why is his voice so gentle? Yes, a little. Is it convenient for you to answer the phone now? Ningxi asked. Lu Tingxiao, yes, go ahead. At this moment, Lu Tingxiao was surrounded by a large group of middle, senior, and grassroots leaders. Ningxi, oh, it's like this. I've chosen the script for my next TV series, but no one can review it for me. Second young master is on vacation and I can't contact him. I heard he will be back in 3 months. Lu Tingxiao immediately understood and said, I'm inspecting the workshop now. It's almost over. Go to my company and wait for me. I'll be back soon. The leaders were stunned. Boss actually said such a long sentence in one breath. In particular, the factory director who had been talking non-stop just now was dumbfounded. He thought to himself, I've talked so much, but the boss only said one word from beginning to end. That word was yes. And what did he mean by almost over? He still had a lot to report. Ningxi, you're inspecting. And you said it was convenient to answer the phone? Ningxi hurriedly said, okay, I'll go to your company and wait for you. Yes. Lu Tingxiao hung up the phone, glanced at his assistant, Cheng Feng, and said, make a call and arrange for Xiaofang to take her to my office. Yes, I'll go now. Cheng Feng had been with Lu Tingxiao for so long that he knew that once the boss spoke in that tone, he must be talking to Miss Ningxi, so he immediately answered and went to make a phone call. Hello, Secretary Fang, I'm Cheng Feng. Assistant Cheng, what's the matter? It's like this. In a moment, a young lady with the surname Ning will come over to look for Chief Lu. Take her directly to Chief Lu's office and wait. Is it appropriate to bring her directly to Boss Lu's office? Assistant Cheng, are you sure it's not the reception room? Secretary Fang suspected that Cheng Feng had said something wrong. After all, CEO Lu's office was such a confidential place. How could he bring someone in without the owner present? You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.